All right. Well, good evening and welcome to another TNT Farming Solutions TNT Talk Time. Tonight's topic is what's up with fish. So we're hearing more and more about fish these days, and more farmers are using it in their production programs. So what's up with fish anyways? Why are people rediscovering this age-old agricultural input? And how might you benefit from it in your operation? Well, fish is a source of nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, phosphorus, and other trace elements. Its liquid forms also contain amino acids, proteins, and fats and oils, um, if you're using a hydrolysate as opposed to an emulsion. Um, They can also contain volatile fatty acids, especially in fermented products. And fish is a natural product, a whole product that has a more balanced nutrient profile than synthetic fertilizers. Um, Fish can help reduce dependence on synthetic fertilizers. These days, the price of synthetic fertilizers keeps going up and up and up, as well as, potential restrictions on availability. And while they're used extensively in organic agriculture, the fish products, um, they're gaining popularity in conventional agriculture as well due to their ability to improve soil health and fertility by their biostimulant action in the soil. Um, some of the products can also contain chitin or chitosan if crustaceans are included in the product, or if the fish that the product's made out of eats a high crustacean content diet, whether naturally or fed in a feed ration if it's a farmed fish. Um, Squid also contains a form of chitin that's different from the crustacean form of chitin. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. Fish products tend to stimulate soil biology, which can improve the release and uptake of other nutrients from the soil, can improve soil structure by the stimulation of fungi um, in the soil, especially when you're using a fish product that contains oils or volatile fatty acids, which are the breakdown components of oils, which are also highly stimulant to fungi. And by improving soil structure, you also help improve drainage in the soil and water management. If you're stimulating fungal populations in the soil, that can help to sponge up and retain excess water in the soil, as well as help pull away excess um, water during high rain events, whatnot. Fish products can also improve a plant's innate immune system, especially those that naturally contain chitin in them, whether it's a hard form of chitin or the soft soluble form that's found in squid. As far as nutrient profile goes, most liquid fish um, that the the natural nutrient profile of fish tends to be around a 200. Anything higher than that means that something's been added generally. A higher phosphorus number is usually the result of phosphoric acid added to the product to stabilize the the liquid, basically prevent it from rotting. Higher K or potassium values are usually as a result of additional potash, whether it's a muriate or a sulfate form of potash. And you might see elevated sulfur levels, which can come from sulfate forms of potash, although usually they use muriate because it's cheaper. Um, but sometimes the added sulfur will come from sulfuric acid, which is also used to stabilize, similar to phosphoric acid, which is not commonly used because it's more expensive, but may be requested or chosen specifically for the added sulfur content to the fish. So those are nutrients that can come from the liquid fish. The NPK of dry forms of fish can be as high as 10, 10, 3, but they also tend to be more expensive than the liquid forms and usually quite smelly as well. You'll notice that you have a 10, 10, 3 as opposed to a 2, 0, 0. Um, so you have higher um, numbers because it's a dry product. You don't have water in it, but you also have a higher phosphorus content in relation to the nitrogen because the dry forms of the fish usually contain the bones as well, which are high in phosphorus, which is not found in liquid products. Liquid products, the bones are left behind. It's just the flesh that's liquefied. You can have various kinds of fish, and we'll just use the term fish to kind of describe various creatures of the sea, which can be actual fish like bycatch, for instance, dogfish, when which is actually a shark. When they're fishing for other fish, they bring them up from, deep in the ocean. They bring them up to the surface, which essentially kills the fish. So you have, dead fish that, well, what do you do with them? We make fertilizer out of them. You can also have non-commercial species of fish like capelin on the east coast of the States, which um, don't have much value, but they make a good fertilizer. You can also have fish that's sourced from fishery waste, which can be heads and frames from, filleting out whatever fish, whether it be wild or farmed. And you can have um, various products from crab, shrimp, and squid waste from the the fisheries for human consumption. Most fish products on the market come from saltwater fisheries, um, so tend to have a higher mineral content than the ones that come from the freshwater. There's not that many that come from freshwater. You can get some trout, carp, that type of thing, but they tend to have lower mineral contents than the saltwater products. Um, they're also an environmentally, we'll call them sound form of fertilizer because they make use of an otherwise waste stream. When what they used to do when they would go out with the boats to go and catch fish, and they would, fillet them or whatever, they would just throw the junk that they didn't want overboard. But then that causes, you know, problems. And so they're not allowed to do that anymore. So they have to collect up all that stuff and they bring it back to port with them when they come back into harbor. And then it would go to landfill. So some of it goes to pet food production as well, but some of it also goes for the production of these um, fish fertilizers. So it's a use of what would otherwise be a waste product. So that's also a good thing. And it adds value and income to, the people who make a living from the oceans. So it's good. It's kind of like straw from your wheat, right? Um, so you got your different forms. You have your dry fish products, which are typically um, the leftover heads and frames that are usually cooked, then ground and dried, and that's what makes the fish meals. Your hydrolysates are broken down or digested just enough to liquefy the flesh of the fish, and they usually contain um, free oils from the fish. So the more oily your fish is, the more oils you're going to have in that hydrolysate. Some nutrients are immediately available, but the rest need further digestion by microbes to free them up. And this makes hydrolysates a natural type of slow release fertilizer. So they're useful in that way. Emulsions, on the other hand, are another form of like a hydrolysate that has had the oils extracted, usually by cooking and heat to pull those oils out. They're a bit more broken down than a hydrolysate, but not much, and they act pretty much the same way. Fermented products take the decomposition process to the end of its natural conclusion, and this process typically takes much longer than hydrolysis and can be as long as a year and a half for the process to complete. And it's not commonly undertaken because it takes such a long time, as opposed to a hydrolysate, which can take, days or hours if there's enzymes used to speed that process along. Fermentation takes a lot longer. Um, However, the uptake and absorption of the uh, products of the fermentation process is much higher and faster than hydrolysates and emulsion into your plant and into the microbes. The levels of amino acids and peptides is much higher than a hydrolysate. And fermented fish products typically contain high levels of volatile fatty acids, which are beneficial to biostimulation and suppression of um, pathogenic organisms in the soil, the nasties. Um, TNT farming solutions, high energy fish is a naturally fermented whole salmon, not just heads and frames like you'll get from um, some other hydrolysates. And that whole salmon is converts the fermentation process converts the high fat salmon flesh into a high volatile fatty acid solution that's had the oils and fats converted to soluble volatile forms that are rapidly taken up by the plants, as well as the microbiome in the plant's environment. That means all the biostimulant effects of the oils without the hassles of the oils. Anybody who's used fish in sprayers or planters, any kind of equipment, knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it's used in um, all of TNT Farming Solutions blended products, whether that's activator, accelerator, high energy spray, trash buster, um, or Super Salmon Plus. It's easy to use because it's more like a clear liquid than the typical thick, creamy consistency of most other um, fish um, fish products on the market. And it also acts as a natural biosurfactant, adding value to its use in foliar applications. So it tends to blend well with both water soluble um, compounds, if you want to mix it in with other things, and with um, fat soluble or oily products. Um, and as far as we know, the only thing that it can have difficulty with that we've run into troubles with is with calcium. It tends to blend well with um, your other typical, 9,18,9 or 31818, those type of soluble fertilizers with your Roundup, with your fungicides, with um, a lot of other products on the market. Um, Typical application rates are from 1 pint or half a liter if you're on the metric system, to a gallon per acre, with 1 to 2 quarts or liters being the most common application rates. Um, Super salmon, it's yeah, and it can be used foliar in trench, can be used as a seed coat, can be ground applied, broadacre. That's a basically any way you can imagine to use it, you can use it that way. Super Salmon Plus was another product that we talked about that from a fish product standpoint that TNT offers, and it's made by combining a typical salmon hydrolysate, a hard chitin sourced from crab, kelp, high energy fish, and it now includes a soft soluble form of chitin sourced from squid. So it's unique 1-2 punch of immediately available and slow release nutrients from the hydrolysate and the fermented energy fish. It is now complemented by a similar 1-2 punch when it comes to the availability of chitin for your crops. So you have the soft soluble form from the squid that gets into the plant right away, and you have the hard crab form that takes a little bit longer to break down, but also becomes available and stimulates the plant and the microbiome in a little bit different way because it is a slightly different form of chitin, but still um, very useful. It's typically used like any other hydrolysate, although it's not quite as thick, but it is creamy and cloudy, but not. It's just a little more runny because of the high energy fish product that's quite watery that's added to it. Um, and also the squid product is also not as viscous, so it improves the flowability of the hydrolysate over, some other thicker products that you might run into. So you can use it in trench, you can use it as a soil drench or a transplant drench. You can use it a foliar just like you would any other fish hydrolysate. Typical application rates are from 1 to 3 gallons per acre, with 1 gallon being common, especially when it's used in combination with other products or ingredients in a custom blend or with high energy spray, which is another excellent 1-2 punch for your hay or cash crops. So whether you currently use fish in your operations or are considering adding it to your program, there will be a step and a product that I'm sure will fit in your plans for a successful cropping season this year and in years to come. And Bob Stevens would be more than happy to discuss opportunities further with you at a time that's convenient to you. And it can be reached by voice or text at 574-532-6201. It's 574-532-6201. And that concludes my brain dump. So I'm going to open the lines up now to questions or anyone willing to share their experiences from their own.
Nadja, this is Jim Ristow. I have a question.
Okay, I'm still trying. My Skype went all goofy on me. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with it.
Um,
Go ahead.
we're developing a food product that would go in with with people's compost extract, just to ramp it up in furrow.
Yep.
And what fish product would you suggest? I've been messing around with the high energy fish or the high energy fish. Maybe is the super salmon. I mean, what would you think would be better? We're only looking at like adding a pint of a blend of stuff.
Um, so this is as a biostimulant with a micro package, like a
Yes.
compost tea thing. Now,
Yeah.
is
So,
this to be
but
put in a brewer or is it just to be added into your planter at application time?
right into the planter like a liquid in furrow type application.
Yeah, so yeah, high energy fish would absolutely um really boost the um stimulation and the population explosion of whatever microbes you're putting down in trench. They'll
Okay.
go absolutely bonkers on it.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I thought I considered the super salmon as well.
Yep,
And actually, a high energy hay would add a little bit of nutrient value, but I didn't want to get it too complicated.
yeah.
You know,
Like I mean, there's all like if you did a super salmon plus and high energy hay combination, then you wouldn't have to add any additional high energy fish. You'd have enough high energy fish with those
okay.
two products in combination. But yeah,
Hey,
that's
Naja.
yep,
So kind of funny that he's asking about this because I want to figure out maybe I'll pipe in here. Because I actually did this so I'm conventional, but I did this. I used 2 ton of turkey manure to the acre. I made the compost extract, and in furrow I added 1 liter of high energy fish, 1 liter of humus, and I added 1 liter to the acre of high energy spray. And that combination, now it was work ground too, with a cover crop that was incorporated for the termination. Um, that that recipe made 175 bushel corn.
Excellent.
mhm. Yeah. So you had the high energy spray, and then you added some additional high energy fish, whereas Jim was considering using the Super Salmon Plus, which you could go either way, right?
So the high energy fish, what is that product?
That's a fermented.
Okay.
That's the nasty smelling.
Right.
Looks like iced tea, but doesn't smell like it. And I can
But it's
tell you,
salmon, right?
well, the salmon, yep,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Uh, did any of those farmers do a control without the product to compare the yield?
Did you have a nearby field, Nick, where you didn't have that on?
Yeah, I had, and like it was well, it was also a difference with the tillage too. I didn't, so it was no tilled. Um, but I would say in work, like especially in work ground, I would say pretty well 5 to 10 bushel difference. You kind of get that. You're adding that little bit of nutrients and getting that fatty acids and that in there. It kind of helps boost the corn seed right early on.
Super duper.
Yeah.
Any other questions or feedback on experience? If anybody's used the various, I mean, it doesn't have to be TNT products. If you've used, another fish hydrolysate, I mean, we're talking about fish, so, let her rip.
Hey, this is Jeremy. Did he say that he put the higher energy spray? Was that in furrows, or how did he do that?
Yeah, I think that was a question for you, Nick. He's asking if you put the high energy spray in furrow.
Yeah, that was directly in furrow mixed with compost extract and the higher energy spray and the higher energy fish. It's all blended together in one package. I put it down at a total rate of about 8 gallons.
Okay.
So you use
Oh,
the high energy spray, basically 1 quart, another quart of high energy fish, 1 quart of a 10% liquid humate with some moly, selenium, and boron in it. And then the rest of the water you made up with the compost extract, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, and a
Just
lot of
want to
my
try
organic
different.
clients will also use anywhere between 2 and 5 gallons an acre of fish hydrolysate, like an organic gem type of thing, um, on their wheat first thing in the spring, right? I mean, they can't use 28, so they get a little nitrogen kick with the fish. And the ones that do that, I mean, they're really good organic farmers and they get really good yields anyways, but they're usually up in the 80 to 110 bushel an acre wheat range. So,
Hey,
and
Nadjia,
yep.
um, would it be worth our time to try and do like a high energy fish and a humus and a fulvic? Just to try. I mean, I've got ordered the inferno mix, but we're just trying to find something that will
Not that one.
work for us.
Yeah, so like you want to do like a humic fulvic hydrogen fish in furrow?
The the high energy hay or high energy spray, however you want to do it, and a humus and a fulvic and molasses and our biology with the Johnson Soup stuff we have.
Right.
Just to try to see.
Well, you don't need to add any fulvic. It's already in the hydrogen spray. So you're all set there. I would do a jar test with your humic acid to see how that blends, because that could be it could curdle out on you. But I would do a test on whatever rate you're going to dilute it at, and whatever sequence that you're going to put it into your equipment do that the exact same way in your jar test, because that can often make it a difference. And just test it.
Okay. So I mean, I could be all right with just doing just trying to trial a high energy spray since it's already got the fulvic in it, and do my biology and molasses and see how that would work. Would be fine.
Yep. And I mean, you could probably add the humic too. I mean, Nick's adding the humic as well, but it depends on, I mean, I've tried several different, like when I was doing blending to figure out how to blend up the activator product, I tried, I think, 4 or 5 different soluble humate products before I found one that wouldn't flop out. So they're not quite all the same. So whichever one you got, definitely test it and check and make sure that it'll blend. And I would check it before you put the molasses in, because once you put molasses in, you probably won't see the curdles, right? So
Uh,
the molasses shouldn't cause a problem for the humates. So I would check your um I would put the fish into your um Johnson Sioux extract into most of your water, and um then put the or the sorry, the high energy spray in um with your Johnson Sioux into, better part of your water, and then add your humates, and it should be fine. And then at that point, you can add your molasses and then do your last little bit of top up with whatever water, right? And you should be okay with
so I
that.
mean, like we run 5 gallons to the acre. So what would I do, like a pint, 2 pints for the furrow on a hydrogen A and this other stuff?
I'd
I
go
don't want it to be
with
too hot.
a quart of the high energy hay, and then you could go with, and I'm not sure what your concentration of your um humic acid product is, but the one that Nick's using is 10%. So if it's something similar to that, he's using about a quart. That's typical for a 10% humic acid solution. Is, a quart per acre is a good rate. So then you're at that, and then you're however much Johnson Sioux extract you're putting in, and then the balanced water, right? So,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, and then your molasses,
All right.
a little bit of molasses.
Um, while Nick's on the phone, can I ask him? Can I ask you and him, how do you do this nitrogen foliar spray? We don't do that down here in far south. That's not heard of. How do you do that effectively without burning it up?
Like just like a 28 nitrogen.
That's just like the liquid nitrogen. I mean, because they put it down first when they go out, front load it, and then it'll come back a Y drop. But then y'all hear y'all talk about doing a tissue test and doing a foliar spray. How do you put a humic and fulvic with that to set it back a little bit with the nitrogen? And how much do you put?
Yeah,
A
definitely.
gallon, 2 gallons?
Yep, definitely a humic and not a fulvic. So the fulvic will amplify and speed up the uptake into the plant, so that will actually increase the likelihood of burning. Um, where the humic kind of slows it down, the uptake. So if you're putting on a 28 as foliar, you want to definitely use the humic with it. And when you do that, you can,
That's like, what is it?
yeah, you can usually cut back your nitrogen application quite a bit, because the humic acid will actually bind and hold, so you're not having as much flash off, and you're holding it on
All
the.
right, so how,
Yeah, go ahead.
like the 10% you talked about a while ago, the same type of stuff,
Yep.
the humic to put. Okay. Now that would be, now as far as a foliar spray, how would that be? Is it like a gallon, 2 gallons to 10 gallons of water to the acre? How does that work?
Yeah, however much you're going to be putting in, and then, you typically 10, 15, 20 gallon total an acre, right? I usually tell guys, whatever your sprayer is set up for flow rate, whether it's 15 gallon an acre, 20 gallon an acre, whatever. You put in what you need to put in and put in the rest water, right? You definitely want more water is better. You know, if you're gonna go down to like 6 or 7 gallon an acre spray with 28, then you're gonna increase your likelihood of burning the plants, right? So a little bit more water, a little bit more coverage,
And
less
like
likelihood of
about
burning.
6 gallons of the liquid nitrogen, and then try to get it up to 20 gallons to acre to spray. Total 6 in water to make 20 gallons to the acre.
Yeah, so that you're, what's that around? So you're about 15 pound of nitrogen there.
Uh, and the rest being in the water will be, it'll keep it from basically burning, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it less likely to burn. I have one client, he used fulvic acid instead of the humic, and he burnt everything. And he didn't put very much on. He only put on, I think he put on five gallon an acre. He didn't put on a whole lot, but he put fulvic with it and just burnt all of his wheat.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. I mean, there's no information except through y'all that does this. They don't do it down here. Nobody know nothing about it.
It's way more efficient
Yeah.
to foliar apply it, but you're tramping through the field again, right? So now if you've got a drone that you
Yeah,
can
but
put stuff on with, that's, cool to play with.
I mean,
But I've seen
I
videos and
mean,
it
but
doesn't look like you get a nice even application. It almost looks like a big nutrient blowout fart all over the all over the plants, and it just doesn't look like it applies very evenly. It looks
okay.
like it's fun.
Uh,
Fun to fly it
yeah, it
around.
looks like it's fun. So on that part right there, the humic 10%. But how much would you put with that? Would it be mix it up, would it be a pint, a quart to go with that per
Yeah,
acre, or how would you do that?
yeah, it's about 1/4. You'd end up being about 1/4. One, yeah, like about 1 quart per 10 pounds of 10 pounds of N. So what is that? My brain's just totally done for the day. This 10 pounds N is about what, four 4 gallon? So you're,
I don't remember how mine set up.
yeah, so you're about one quart of the 10% per 10 pounds of N.
10 pounds. Okay. And about what stage are y'all doing that at? How tall are you going, just whatever the tissue sample says? If you're low on nitrogen, hit it. If you don't, leave it alone.
Yeah, is that for corn or for wheat or
Corn.
corn? Yeah, I usually do it with a tissue test. The other thing too is if
Okay.
you're putting in a humate, when you get your tissue test done, also check off the box on your tissue analysis for nitrate, not just total nitrogen. Because typically corn is like crazy stupid high in nitrate, which is not a good form of nitrogen. in a plant. It's like putting up a great big neon "Eat at Joe's" sign for the bugs. Um, so um, if you do have really high nitrate levels, which for corn I would say is anything over 500 with 500 to 1,000 parts per million. Most other crops like beans, wheat, whatever, I like to see under 20. But because corn is such a huge uptaker of nitrogen, and especially in the nitrate form, um, I if it's under 500, I'm happy. 500 to 1,000-ish, but I'm really happy with under 500. If you're over 1,000, you definitely want to add some molybdenum to that foliar spray. And the molybdenum works.
But I can check that with the Hariba tester though, right? For the nitrates.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess I'm
Yep.
done with questions right now. Somebody else wants to ask something.
Oh no, keep asking questions. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
No, we're just trying to get a little bit more economical with this stuff. I mean, it's just y'all do it so much different further north you get. Y'all just farm totally different than we do down here. It's just totally different ball game.
Yeah, we pull everything with reindeer and yes.
Yeah. We're also trying to do some stuff, just trying to do some test stuff and try to figure all this out with trying to do like some non-GMO stuff, some corn. We'll try to do it with some beans. Trying to get my hands on some off-patent soybeans to see if it might connect with what we're trying to do with some old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hard to do all this stuff. I mean, to figure out what it's taken up. I mean, we only seen just a few things that actually liked it this year, as far as taking up and having sugar levels going up. But every variety didn't do that. Only just a couple of varieties done it with the conventional stuff. And we're just trying to figure a way to get away from the conventional and go a different way with get rid of synthetics as much as possible and do a different ball game.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different factors that can affect your plant's ability to produce sugars, right? So I all right, it was with green cover crops. I did a podcast thing on photosynthesis, I think. So you can always look that up where I go over all kinds of different stuff that impacts photosynthesis. So you might
I listened
be
to about one.
putting down this or that or foliar spraying this or that but if it's not the things that impact photosynthesis and it's not whatever the plant's needing to whatever the lowest stave in the barrel is, right? I mean, that's the thing that the plant needs the most. No matter what else you throw at it, if you don't address that thing, it's not going to utilize all the other stuff you throw at it. So,
And that's it. We're trying to get everything lined up right. I mean, some of the stuff's not in order
mhm.
on like the base saturation, and they're close. Some of them are a little high on some things, but some of it's a little low on some things. We're just trying to get that. If we get that balanced out, I think this right here will take off and go. Just trying to get everything balanced out right.
Yeah, and that's where, your crop rotations, so you have different plants with different root systems doing different things. Your cover crops and multi-species cover crops. And if you can get, um, you know, we'll call it perennial stuff into the rotation, which sounds like a contradiction, but if you can get hay in there for 3 years where you can have something that's undisturbed and perennial for a few years, that also helps the soil to recover and to balance itself out, right? And it'll help to balance out that cation exchange or the base saturation um, across your calcium, uh, potassium, magnesium, sodium, as well as your nutrient availability, right? and just keeping those soil microbes fed, right? Keeping something living and green on the soil as long as possible for as much of the year as possible.
I mean, we can do that. That's something we can do down here. We can keep green on it all the time. So we can cover crop, go right in with a cash crop, come right back at it with cover crops. I mean, it's the only time it's not anything growing is just something's got to sprout to grow.
Yeah, and I mean, even places where you've got winter, if you use, overwintering cover crops where you plant something, you know, whenever, and then it's green goes into winter, and then, you might get some little warm spell here and there, and you might get some stuff continue to sprout through the winter, grow a little bit, especially rye, at least up here, anyways. And then in the springtime, when, you know, the sun starts to come out some more and things start to warm up, but you're still not ready for a crop, you those overwintering cover crops come out of dormancy and they photosynthesize and feed your soil microbes for however long until you put your main crop in, right? So you're continuing to put those soil microbes to work for you, and that's key and critical because the plant wants a balanced soil and the microbes want a balanced soil. They want, various nutrients available at various levels, and they will create that environment for themselves over time. So
Yeah,
don't give up.
that's
Don't
what
give
we're
up.
trying to do. We're trying to. Yes, that's yeah, yeah. It gets kind of tough sometimes. I mean, it gets kind of dry at that time. Then you're trying to get something out there, and it kind of flags a little bit to get it going. But some of it gets going real good, and it's beautiful green, and some of it's got a little bit of green, but it'll take off. And so, like you said, the spring comes, she greens up and it gets 4 foot tall pretty quick.
Yep. Yeah, and the longer you do that and the more you promote the diversity of plants and soil organisms and prolong the um living um period of the soil throughout the year, the more active your soil is going to get, the more balance it's going to get, the higher your nutrient levels will get, because that's what it's always trying to do. We just set it back with various things like tillage and poisons and so on and so forth. So that's where
Right.
we got to use our coconut for to figure out how we can um, fix or mitigate the little problems we create, right? So
Well, okay. Well, I'm satisfied again. Got my brain full of stuff again, so I'm gonna have to digest this again.
that's what it's all about.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you.
Nadja, I want to change topics a little bit if I can. Can you help explain chitin and the sources? There's several companies out there that I believe they're making it in the lab and calling it chitin or chitinase and advertising it as a nematicide, um, which I believe it does.
Well,
But is there, go ahead.
chitin is different than chitinase.
Yeah.
So usually anything that ends in A's is typically an enzyme that works on whatever comes before the A's. So chitinase would be an enzyme that works on breaking down chitin. So
Okay.
that's usually what that means. Um, So I know there's raw chitin, which would be crab shell or the what would be the basically that little I call it a little plastic pen thing that's in the squid that's made out of a different form of chitin than the hard crab shell. But when that gets broken down, then I can't remember the name of it, but it's a chitin derivative that becomes bioavailable.
Okay.
Um, the soft chitin, which is a beta form of chitin, as opposed to the alpha form of chitin, which is the hard form that's in um, crab and shrimp and lobster and that sort of thing. Um, it is more readily converted and more quickly converted to um, a soluble available form, which is also a different form of chitin than what the alpha chitin breaks down into. It's a different compound, but they um, react similarly to the plant. They're both immune system stimulants. Just you the the um, the one from the shrimp is more readily available to the plant right away. You gotta wait longer for the one from the crab shell.
Is there a danger of killing your nematodes with some of these?
Um, I don't know. I
Okay.
I really don't know. Like I'm sure that there's different species of nematodes are susceptible in different ways to the stuff because I mean you've got um fungal um things that'll work on nematodes as well, but they only attack the root eating nematodes. They don't attack the beneficial ones, right? So there's
Yeah.
I'm sure that the Almighty Creator made it such that the chitin wouldn't have an impact on the good nematodes. That would be the smart thing to do.
If it's the right source of chitin, that's what I guess I'm wondering. But
Yeah, I don't think it would really matter because I mean you could put any kind of ocean whatever onto the land for you know and it should be just fine.
okay.
To me it wouldn't make sense that it would damage the good guys.
This is Jonathan from Central PA.
Okay.
My one customer asked me where you source your squid from. He was concerned about that.
It comes off the east coast of the states, off of Massachusetts, I think.
Okay. He was sure it comes from across the ocean or across the sea.
No.
And yeah, he was concerned about the forced labor and all that for harvesting it.
No, it's US. It's a US product.
Okay,
It's
very good.
fished in the US waters, yeah. Little bit in Canada, but mostly fished in the US waters.
Okay, good. And then another comment, I had another farmer that did 3 gallons of the high energy fish in row at planting for field corn.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did 6 gallon of organic gem in row for field corn. And do you want to guess what the results were at the end of the season when he harvested?
Oh, I have no idea. he got corn.
He did get corn, and the yield and the test weight and the moisture was basically the same for both.
Okay.
I just thought that was a comment about those two different fish products. So it was about the same cost. So that's why he did it. 3 gallons of high energy was about the same cost as 6 gallons of organic gems.
Okay. But see, with the 3 gallons of high energy fish, you got more room in your planter tank for other stuff.
There you go.
And you don't have the thick gummy problem. Now it smells nasty.
Mm-hmm. And that's some of my customers do complain a little bit about the smell. I think some of my customers are still getting some reactions with their water quality. I think was maybe more like hard water and maybe even the calcium carbonate in the water. And they were having issues plugging sprayers with that, with the high energy fish.
Yeah, the other question too might be now if they're not used to using those types of products. I've had conventional guys, try to use that, and then they got like 180 mesh screens in, right? And then of course they're gonna plug up like crazy. So, but yeah, if they do have really hard water, there's a possibility that the phosphorus in the high energy fish could potentially react with the calcium in the water. But that
I
shouldn't
think,
it should just make it go cloudy. It shouldn't plug up your filter.
okay. Well, I tell my farmers, yeah, 50 mesh should work
Yeah.
for most.
Yeah, and not only at the big filter off the tank, but if they've got individual little inline filters, a lot of times they forget those ones, and they still have really fine ones like right before the orifice.
Mm-hmm. No, I tell them to take all those out or
Yeah.
get a bigger nozzle.
Yeah. Yeah, so I tell my customers flood jets and
Right.
stuff. Or even fan type nozzles with a course. And when you do that, and you're no longer at, some guys are like, well, I want to only spray 8 gallons an acre, so I want to do really fine mist. So, well, that doesn't work with these type of products. You got to go with a coarser droplet, and then which means you have to put on a little bit more volume.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you haven't got into the drone applications yet?
no, but I do have a client this year that I think is buying. I think he said he's buying two drones, I think. So he can be filling one while he's got one out
Mm-hmm.
dumping.
So that's where you're going to be very concentrated. How concentrated can he go per
Well, he's
acre?
actually going to still make it quite dilute. He's just going to do lots of runs. He's using it on crops where it's not really practical to go through with a sprayer, like on peas and stuff, where it's a big, huge tangled mat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could still go over with a sprayer, but you really mash stuff down, and he doesn't want to do that. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
and when the corn is like really, like he gets corn that's like 14 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
So, he can't get in with even with his high boy at that point. It's way too tall, right?
Right.
So I think he just wanted to get a drone to play with it, honestly. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I might go out and film a little bit of it. Should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or feedback or experiences with using fish? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and great questions and great feedback, and hope to see you or hear you, meet with you again on the next TNT Talk Time.